So, you are thinking about making the move here to Tennessee and you want to live on the lakefront, but you aren't sure which lake you want to live on. Well, that is great because today we are going to be talking about everything lake life here in Tennessee. So folks, let's talk about lakes in Tennessee for a moment. So Tennessee is full of gorgeous lakes from end to end and is even home to the largest underground lake in the entire United States. But there is something just slightly off about lakes in Tennessee that most folks have never really heard of and aren't really aware of, and that is the fact that all lakes in Tennessee, all the surface lakes anyways, are man-made, with one exception that we're going to talk about a little bit later. The reason that Tennessee doesn't have any naturally occurring lakes, and this is important to know, is thanks to glacial movement, or rather the lack of. You see, glaciers never made it this far south, and where most of the lakes in the northern part of the United States were created from glacial retreat more than 10,000 years ago, Tennessee was just too far south and we didn't experience the same things. So don't get me wrong, I mean, Tennessee has some big lakes. They were just made by people and not by glaciers. But who were these people that made all these lakes? Well, these lake building folks are known as the Tennessee Valley Authority, or TVA, and they were formed by Congress back in 1933. Of course, they can't get all of the credit for building these lakes and dams. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers are also responsible for constructing some of Tennessee's lakes and dams. But what was the point of all this lake and dam building? Well, the construction of Tennessee's dams and subsequently lakes was to help manage the flooding in Tennessee and spread electrification through the entire state, as well as help develop the economy of the Tennessee Valley. Nowadays, we can thank the TVA for nearly 1,000 reservoirs across the state that provide habitat for wildlife, endless recreational opportunity, and some of the most incredible views you'll find in Tennessee. So now that you've got a little bit of the backstory on lakes here in Tennessee, let's talk about the major lakes here. So in East Tennessee, you're going to find Watauga Lake and South Holston Lake in the Cherokee National Forest, as well as Norris Lake and Cherokee Lake. Heading west, you've got the Cumberland Plateau with Dale Hollow Lake and some of the best smallmouth bass fishing you're going to find in the entire state. Fun fact, Dale Hollow actually holds the world record smallmouth bass. Excuse me, I believe it's around 11 pounds or so. So if you want to do a little more digging on bass fishing in Dale Hollow, definitely do some Googling there and check that out. But once you get to the Nashville Basin, folks, you're going to find Percy Priest Lake and Old Hickory Lake, both of which we're going to talk about a little bit more in a few moments. But now, once we get into West Tennessee, we have two more lakes we need to talk about. The first is going to be Kentucky Lake, and finally, last on the list, and my favorite lake of all time, is Reelfoot Lake. So there's a reason I saved Reelfoot Lake for last, and not only is it my favorite lake in Tennessee, and the fact that my family has very deep roots in the Reelfoot Lake area, but it is also the only naturally occurring lake in the entire state of Tennessee. So Reelfoot was actually created by earthquakes in the winters of 1811 and 1812 with estimated magnitudes between 7.5 and 7.7 on the Richter scale that actually reversed the flow of the Mississippi River and pushed water into a basin that had dropped out due to the earthquakes and created Reelfoot Lake. You know, it's a pretty crazy story for the only natural lake we have here in Tennessee, and if you ever get to visit Reelfoot, it is entirely unlike any other lake in the state. It is very reminiscent of states like Louisiana and even southern Mississippi. You know, tons of cypress everywhere. It's really more of a swamp than a lake. It's very much a flooded forest, and just some of the coolest ecology that you can encounter in the entire state of Tennessee. It really is like being on an entirely different planet. All right, folks, now let's look at Middle Tennessee's big name lakes, the ones I'm probably most familiar with, or at least I spend the most amount of my time on, and that's going to be Percy Priest and Old Hickory Lake, both of which sit just east of Nashville, Tennessee. So Percy Priest Lake was created by the Percy Priest Dam, go figure, on the Stones River. This is going to be a 14,000 acre reservoir, and depending on where you wanted to live on the lake, you could potentially have an address in Smyrna, Laverne, Nashville, or Mount Juliet, Tennessee. And if you haven't gotten a chance, go ahead and definitely check out our videos on these cities. I'd highly recommend checking them out. Ton of information there, folks, and it'll give you a little bit better of an idea of what each of those cities are like on the lakefront. So Old Hickory Lake was actually created again by Old Hickory Dam, go figure, on the Cumberland River. So this is going to be a 22,500 acre reservoir, and depending on where you wanted to live on the lake, you could have an address in either Old Hickory, Hendersonville, Nashville, or Gallatin. And again, definitely go check out some of our videos on those cities. No matter what city you decide to live in, folks, you will be able to either live on the lakefront or at least have immediate access to the lake, meaning you can spend more time on the water doing what you love. The other upside of having multiple different potential addresses while living on the lake means you get to pick which city, which school zones, what part of the lake fits your family and your needs the best. So if you're a big duck hunter, you love waterfowl, you love just watching waterfowl in general, well, Hendersonville and Old Hickory is probably going to be a better option for you than, say, Antioch or Laverne on Percy Priest. Old Hickory has got more wildlife, it's got more waterfowl, and definitely got some great schools up there. So that's one benefit of it. Now, if you're a bigger bass fisherman, you like fishing tournaments, or just recreational boating is more of your thing, then you get to, you really get to pick and dial in which school zone may be best, which amenities may be best for you. I say amenities, I really mean, infrastructure, shopping, possibly your place of work, things like that. Basically, my whole point, folks, is that you can really optimize your location to best fit you and your family's needs when you have so many different potential addresses around both of these major waterways. So folks, that is going to wrap up our video for the day. I hope this has given you a little bit of insight into what lake life is like here in Middle Tennessee, or Tennessee in general, I should say. And remember, folks, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a personalized Zoom call with Chris and I so that we can help you make a smooth move here to Nashville, Tennessee. Until next time, we hope to see you around town soon.